I get asked a lot how to create an online course. So here's what I think is the best way to go about that if you want to get some quick action and get a real result for your clients and set up something that's kind of scalable and enjoyable to run as a business. So I think the way to start is with the end in mind. So pick a result that you want for your client, not just a topic. So say the topic's sleep. It's great. You could have a 50 module training on how sleep works and the science of deep sleep and what scientists have learned about sleep this year. But actually, what your client wants isn't even just a good night's sleep. They want to function well in the daytime because they've had a good night's sleep. And maybe some will be really motivated by that, needing energy and, full, sharp brain, the quality of their days. And other people might be fighting insomnia. So the result they want is curing insomnia. So you're moving someone, you're giving them a transformation. And I think a really good way to promise your result and explain to a potential client how they're going to get there is to have some kind of framework. So I'm a really big fan of frameworks. If you listen to this channel for a while, you'll hear me go on and on about the importance of having a framework as an online coach or with an online course, because you really need, instead of some amorphous hours and hours of one-on-one loosey-goosey contact time, you actually want a really punchy way to get your clients from where they are to where they want to be. And although everybody will present with their own unique challenges, the best practice steps to get to the best endpoint will always look fairly similar. And so if you can create some sort of framework, it might be a step-by-step guide. It could be an acronym. So say it's something like SLEEP, maybe the S stands for stimulants, and then you don't have coffee or screens or whatever. And then maybe the L stands for something, and the E and the E and the P, something like that, where there's a product. You've turned your knowledge into a step-by-step system or a framework or a matrix. People identify where they are in a 2x2 matrix and you help them move. So that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, has got the assets and the liabilities and the working for yourself and getting leverage and moving people from working hours for dollars across and down to owning assets that generate money for them. So I can help you with creating a framework. It's the thing I'm really excited to do and love doing it myself. So that's something you should really, really build into your online course from the very beginning. So what the result is and how you're going to help people get there step by step. And you can give it a nice name, or just it can be the 6 pillars of whatever. It doesn't need to be technical or tricky, just something that is really consistent. So anybody signing up with you knows that you've got a structured approach, it's a predictable outcome, and you're going to get them to the end point that they want to be at. The lessons that you need to record for an online course, you don't need to go overboard on the production mode there. You can use something simple. I use Loom for mine. I don't do any fancy AI stuff. I don't do lots of fancy editing and whizzy tricks with flashes between screens. People learn differently, so I probably make my videos a little bit too long for some people, and say quite a bit. But we don't need to worry too much about it being perfect. I think if it's conversational and natural and you care about the subject and you break it down into a logical flow, the length of the lesson, the little stumbles in the recordings, don't overproduce it. Be genuine, be yourself, get your message out there, get it live. Don't spend 12 months hiring studios. Don't do anything silly like that. Just record it at home, off your laptop, get it live, and out you go. You need to host your course somewhere. I like Kajabi, and for lots of reasons. One is I can have all my emails in the same place, all my checkout pages in the same place. Everything's on one platform. There are some others out there. I've dabbled with them all probably. And I've also over time had the emails sitting on other CRM systems in attempts to save money, or something was meant to be easier or fancier, but actually simple is good. I'm just going more and more minimalist the more I've been doing this. So one platform is good, and Kajabi I think is the best. The student experience is going to be a little bit variable depending on your topic. So business to business, one might expect a little bit more one-on-one time. It might be a more formal setting for your delivery. Something that's more of a lifestyle one, say you're running a 30-day challenge to get people to declutter their homes. That's a little bit more informal, a bit more interactive. And anything that the other students share is probably useful for the others. Whereas if you've got some like health or medical type coaching, you probably don't want some students on your course giving medical advice to other students or health advice if that's your product. And so you want to decide and design how much you broadcast one way and how much you allow them to interact with each other. But I do think some community aspect's good in pretty much any subject. When I was teaching people how to launch products on Amazon FBA, like physical products, nobody wanted to share what their product was because if it went well, they were worried it would get copied. Whereas something like Alcoholics Anonymous, the only way that that's ever been effective is in a group where the peer pressure lifts everybody's motivation and commitment. So good to think what your students say they want and what they actually need. They tend to think they want one-on-one, but what they actually need is usually some sort of group and community. So the more assets you can create, the easier your life will be. So maybe there's an onboarding diagnostic. Maybe there's a workbook that they go through with each module, and that really gets them focused and listening on your words and teaching in the course. Maybe you've got some templates. If they're all going to be creating the same type of business, maybe you give them some templates that are going to be useful in that type of business. If they're all going to go and start social media agencies, what are the onboarding templates for clients, or what are the workflow management tools for a team, that kind of thing. And then a community, that's a great asset. It really keeps your retention and your results up, and something really nice for you to have a bit of contact time. I think in the days of AI, we're all a bit short of quality humans, and I'm certainly not number one fan girl of all things AI. I use it a little bit, but not very much at all. A few shortcuts here and there, a bit of condensing or summarizing something, but not generally much from scratch and not much output based. It's more managing my own stuff. So creating assets, I could talk about creating assets a lot. Ebooks are a great asset. That can be a great marketing tool. Email sequences are an asset. So there's a lot of digital assets you can create. In fact, the next video in this series is all about which digital assets you should be looking to create in any online course or for coaching. So deliver it live first. You can polish it later. You can do live calls, save those recordings as modules, and then maybe re-record them slightly, more polished later. But actually, nobody doesn't get a result. That was a double negative. People get the result because you care and you give them the stuff they need to know and help them do it. So people generally need more help with the implementation than learning lots of theory. And so that doesn't need to be scripted and delivered like a theatrical production. It needs to be honest and leveling with them and practical help and helping them get motivated. So don't worry about fancy graphics or jingles or any of that stuff. You can check your pricing you could maybe do a launch special and then get some testimonials, which will help you have more credibility if you put the price up later. You can have some early adopters with a special price, and with that, they might get some one-on-one time, and in exchange, you get some feedback live from them about your course. What was helpful? What would they want more of? What do they think it's worth? So the next thing you need to think about is which digital assets you would need to create to start your online course. So click on the next video and I'll take you through those.